Let's talk about The Time Machine by H.G. Wells. It is obviously a foundational book for science fiction. I was looking forward to reading some of H.G. Wells for a while. To my embarrassment, I haven't ever read any of his books. Obviously, we've all watched movies or pop culture representations of a lot of his books, since he is the father of science fiction. And he introduced so many of the classical science fiction tropes to our imagination. So we as a society, we know a lot about his books, but I think this is the first time when I actually sat down to read a book by H.G. Wells from cover to cover. This book is actually very short. It is easy to follow. Can be another good book to read if you're just trying to get into classics, if you are intimidated by them, and if you just want to read something that is fascinating, that has a good plot, that is always mentioned as one of the best books of all time, and something that will not be so confusing that you will never be able to get through it. We credit this book with popularizing the concept of time travel in literature and culture, and even the word time machine was coined by H.G. Wells himself. The book has quite a simple plot. If you think about it, it is about a time traveler who creates a time travel machine, and he goes into the future, very far off into the future. It is around 800,000 years in the future, where the world changes a lot and humans change into two different races, I would say. So there are the Eloys, who live on the ground in this sort of hippie, very chill lifestyle where they dance, they swim, they eat fruits, they collect flowers, and they're just very relaxed and happy during the day, and then at night they're very scared. Then there is a second race of humans who are called Morlocks. They live underground and they are much less chill and they're quite terrifying. You might have seen depictions of those races in different movies. I would say the book is very different from any of the movie descriptions that I've seen so far. The book was actually quite gripping in the sense that it was hard for me to put it down, and I was scared for the time traveler, and I was asking myself this question: will he be able to get back in time? Which is ridiculous because the book is about him telling the story after he returns back from the future to his present day, which is Victorian England. So it just shows that the story itself is so fascinating that you are rooting for the character, even though you know it's going to happen in the end. You are still quite scared and worried for him. H.G. Wells was obviously a convinced socialist. He was a member of the Fabian Socialist Society. He did believe in this eventual establishment of a world state where enlightened scientists will be ruling over everybody, and the society will be fair and meritocratic, and everything will be just hunky-dory. His political views are quite evident in this book, and it's one of the biggest takeaways from this book, right? If you read the book very carefully, and you will see that the conclusion of the story is that this is where the current capitalistic society will lead you, into the separation of people into two separate races, right? Where one would be living in squalor and producing everything that the overlords, hippie, dancing people need, but then ultimately this system will come out of balance, and then the poor will literally start eating the rich. Despite this being such obvious socialist propaganda, I did quite enjoy the book. If you read it for the story, for the character description, and for the plot, I do think you can really enjoy it. I was very impressed by the fact that even now, as I'm reading this in 2025, after I have watched all of the movies and all of the shows about time travel, about different planets, and about all of this kind of stuff, I was still fascinated by the book that was written so long ago. So I do think that this book has a very enduring popularity for good reason. I do think you'll enjoy the book if you haven't read it. If you have read it, let me know in the comments what you think. I do think that this is a foundational science fiction book that is an absolute must read for anybody who wants to understand science fiction and who really wants to understand the references in a lot of more recent science fiction books and movies. I look forward to reading more H.G. Wells in the coming months. I do hope to read more of his books this year. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.